Yeah, thanks for staying tuned. Our second discussion shifts to an issue of national importance, a growing need for stronger protection of children in Nigeria's digital space. Well, the issue recently caught the attention of the Green Chamber anew, where the House of Representatives took steps to protect Nigerian children from online abuse with the consideration of the Child Online Access Protection Bill. Now, the bill seeks to provide a legal framework to safeguard minors from harmful and exploitative online content. The sponsor, Honorable Olumide Osoba, representing Abeokuta North, Obafemi Owode, and Odeda Federal Constituency of Ogun State, said this while addressing journalists at the National Assembly, explained that the bill was first read in 2023 and a public hearing held in 2024, but progress was delayed to align with the new tax laws. Osoba said the bill proposes an e-commissioner under the Ministry of Telecommunications and Digital Economy to monitor the online space, direct removal of harmful content, and impose fines or jail terms on offenders. He added that the bill has been adjusted to reflect the new tax policy and expressed optimism that it would be passed soon and transmitted to the Senate for concurrence. Here's what it said.
I'm sure that you all know that this is a very important bill that is pivotal for many of us, every one of us, and every Nigerian child that is exposed to, potentially exposed to different harmful things on the internet.
Now, because of the cost of governance, we've decided that we should have an e-commissioner, a department in the Ministry of Telecommunications and Digital Economy, to serve as someone that would be the watchdog for the online space. And whenever there's an infringement, is meant to actually send it's actually meant to send a report to that service provider to bring down an image or take down that infringement. And if they don't, there are fines that they will have to pay. And if you're a second offender, the fine goes up and then you can have jail term as well.
Well, the issue of exposure to harmful online content and cyberbullying, grooming, and the rising sophistication of predators, as well as the risks which are evolving faster than many families can manage, raise questions as to how prepared the country is and what systems must be strengthened to defend children across all online platforms. So joining us for this segment to provide expert context and guidance is Obong Marvel Essien, Organization Development Consultant. Thank you very much for joining us, Obong Essien.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Marvel.
My pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
Well, this Child Online Access Protection Bill, you think it comes at the right time, especially when we look at how tense the social media space is. In fact, online generally, you see a lot of events happening. Are there really frameworks that have been put in place towards ensuring that some of the contents that are in circulation are not available to children?
There is no better time than now. There have been agitations, advocacies regarding child protection several years back. And of course, Nigeria is not laid back regarding this because Nigeria has subscribed to the United Nations Convention on Child's Rights. And of course, in Nigeria, you'd also know that there is this Child Rights Act that's already in place. And recently, you also have the Cyber Crimes Act of 2024. So Nigeria has been setting up laws, to protect children. And in recent times, particularly regarding the activities that we observe online, and there is need for the nation to control the social media space to a very large extent, such that all social digital platforms will be very conscious to institute models to be able to protect children as far as their welfare or their future is concerned. And of course, we know that this recent effort is in line with the United Nations expectation that you still have to evolve new laws to take care of these things because
the changing times.
Following the changing times. So we have the Cyber Crimes Act, but of course there are gaps in the Cyber Crimes Act when you talk about protecting the child. And this new law may just be in to fill in those gaps such that when you make these laws, if there is any need for anyone to take a legal recourse over any of this matter, you would have a way of being able to prosecute. You can see that in this new act, they have even proposed penalties for defaulters, for the platforms, or for individuals that may choose to flout most of these laws. So that's an effort too. They have also tried to set up a department, they call it e-commissioner, to be able to monitor what is going on in this airspace, and of course that aligns with the Internet Watch of the international
Mr. Marvel,
community.
what are those gaps that you pointed out in the Cyber Crimes Act, and how effective are these laws? Because it's one thing to make the law and another thing to ensure that these laws are enforced. How effective are these laws? Because some of them have been there for some time now.
Yeah, like the Cybercrime Act. You see, take cyberbullying, for example, or even this any aspect of this abuse, this child abuse online that you want to take on, you would see in prosecuting the Cybercrime Act. If you check the section 23, subsection 3 of that Cybercrime Act, you see that it talks about intention. That is, if you go online and you are engaged in these activities, you would have to be seen that you have intentions to corrupt the child. So now, when you come to the law, how do you prove this intention?
This intention.
So when you look at such gaps and other gaps, you would understand that you need to be making more of these laws to be able to address most of these these legal gaps that may be existing, that may affect the implementation, the full implementation, for us to have this kind of checks that we need to have. A lot of things are going on online, like Xavier mentioned about the grooming part of it. Grooming can be very subtle. Grooming can be very subtle. So before you can think of how to make someone culpable or a company culpable, then you need to go the whole length of the law to be able to track down the person. So if the person can escape from the Cybercrime Act of 2024, this new law should be able to capture the person and hold the person down, or the organization down, or the digital platform down, to say that you are culpable in this matter.
Oh, Obong Marvel, when you look at how the social media space, the online space in Nigeria is structured, you really think that it's going to be possible to regulate it? You talked about cyberbullying earlier, and we understand that it is really tense as at now. You remember that there's been this fight on air, an aircraft fight between VDM and Mr. Jalop. And you could imagine that actually started from a brawl online as a result of cyberbullying. Yeah. That led to that altercation. You think that it is possible to regulate that space to the point where it is not as toxic as it is right now?
It may not be possible to completely eliminate these abuses, but it is possible to reduce it to a reasonable extent. And that is what government, or the legislative arm of government, is attempting to achieve, such that it doesn't really go as wild as it is going currently. So if you have a way of instituting laws to be able to protect online users, especially in this regard, the child, from all these images or things that would corrupt the mind of the child, which of course we recognize that it's about the future of the child. It can lead to so many things. You know, when you even think about these post-traumatic issues, talking about the mental health of the child and everything that may go ahead to affect the future of the child. So it is very important for government, or the legislative arm of government, to keep evolving this law or instituting new laws to ensure that they are able to coordinate and make sure that these people do not take advantage of the openness of these laws to institute more crime. You remember when we talk about this proposal in 2019 regarding the protection from internet falsehood, and Manipulations Bill of 2019, even though that bill did not see the light of the day. But you remember the challenges that faced, because people began to talk about freedom of speech, that is going to affect people's freedom of expression, and that it may inhibit a lot of things in the country, and we're very much opposed to that act. You would not also take away the fact that that came immediately after a platform, a social platform, was banned in Nigeria, and the youth particularly felt that you are affecting their right to information or their right to self-expression that is fundamental to every human being. But as much as we know that we should promote fundamental human rights in the area of speeches and expressions, we also should recognize that this may also cause a lot of harms. When you look at the cyber extortion going on, when you look at so many outcomes that may result from keeping the space open without regulation.
All right, Mr. Marvel, what's the role of parents? What role do they have to play in this situation now? Because they are key components of this.
Parents can try their best, but this is quite overwhelming. You see, the level technology has assumed space.
But you are the one that will hand over the gadget to the phone, to the child. So.
You're talking about restricting the child from it. Don't also forget it's what they use in learning these days.
And you can control it one way or the other.
Yes, that is why that will take us to the steps government is really supposed to concentrate on. That is beyond this lawmaking, beyond this legislation, and speak with the digital platforms that are controlling this space to see how they can restrict access to many of these things. You see, if you have maybe AI models, artificial intelligence models that are set up in most of these organizations to restrict it from source, not waiting for it to come out on A before you start talking about restriction or access to the child or adult. You can do it in a manner that before any publication, before anything goes online, that there is a system that can check against these publications and to ensure that it doesn't come to limelight at all. So that's on the one part. But on the other hand, the parents, have a responsibility to keep tutoring their children. But I keep telling you, it is very overwhelming for the parents.
Because what I'm saying,
the child one parent buys it for his child, the child is sharing it with another child. So if you give a gadget to your child and you have put in all the access in that gadget that you're given to your child visits a friend, whether in school or at home, and is exposed to the gadget that is unrestricted.
Some digital space actually have a way of regulating it. For example, YouTube, sometimes you have YouTube for kids. So if the child wants to access it, it will ask the child for the calculation of, let me 7 times 7, is this an adult? So the child, you see my son bring it to and say, Mom, I don't understand. So that's actually a parental do something. So you are the one to identify whether it's an adult or it's a kid. So that's why I was like, what's the role of parents? They actually need to pay attention to.
Yes, parents have to pay attention, like I said. But you see, I keep saying it is very overwhelming for the parents. Your child is able to come to you because of your relationship with your child. You are available for the child to come to. The child can also have his peer group exposing the child. The child can take it to his peer group, who may have a way of breaking the access. These children are very intelligent these days. So as this technology is evolving, you are putting in this access. That is how hackers thrive, because you come up with a knowledge, some other person has a superior knowledge to what you have already, and can break even to a space that it was supposed to be restricted.
So in this situation now, who has more work to do? The parents, or ensuring that this bill is actually followed through to a point where it becomes an act and it's implemented to the latter? Which of them would have to do more of the work?
Nothing would take it away from the legislative arm of government to make these laws. But you see, the platforms that are handling these things, if you are not regulating them, these are business platforms. If you are not regulating them, then you may not be able to effect sufficient control over them. So parents may not be able to go the whole length to be able to have such a big control over the issue we are discussing right now. The experts, the professional platforms, the digital platforms themselves, they are the ones that should restrict these access. You look at what is proposed in that bill, that if a platform defaults, they may have to pay a fine up to 10 million naira, and for individual 5 million naira. That serves as a deterrent for most of the organizations that would not want to be found wanting in this area. And without such legislation, you cannot completely rely on parents to control these things. It has to be nipped at the bud. Okay. We don't have to wait for it to come out at all.
Well, the bill also proposes creating an e-commissioner under the Ministry of Telecommunications and Digital Economy to regulate online spaces. Direct removal of harmful content. It goes ahead to list enforcement of penalties. Now, in your view, how effective would this now be? Such regulatory office, you think that what kind of powers would you hope to see allocated to them? And you think that they are actually going to be able to discharge their duties? And talking about corruption and influences now that may come in the line of duty, you think that the Nigerian experience will not play out here?
No, you see, they are not going to work on they are going to work with the National Information Technology Agency and the Nigerian Communications Commission. They are going to collaborate to handle these things. So it is not something that should be so difficult for these regulatory agencies.
And the experience is always trying to profit over out of every situation.
That's an aspect too, but you see, my other concern is about the funding of this e-commissioner agency. That's even my concern, because for it to operate, sometimes we need to be very optimistic about the moves of government to see how they want to control things and regulate things for the benefit of the country. And when we are looking at that, we know what the major challenges may necessarily be. The challenges, if you have the right leadership in this position of e-commissioner, then he would achieve a lot. I keep making examples of agencies that have done so well in the country and some agencies that have performed so minimally in the country. Who would have thought that the Nigerian passport through the Ministry of Interior can be restructured to be the way it is today? So if you have a leadership in the position of an e-commissioner in that position to work, and the person is focused at what he should be doing, then we are expecting to get a good result. But the other part of my concern is the funding. There are issues already about it, because where are you going to generate the funding from? You're going to tax people, you're going to tax organizations to be able to keep these things running. And we are going into a new tax regime where, the capital gains tax is already an issue, having been increased from 10% to 30%. So further burden on organizations may find people not really excited about this kind of venture that is so important, that is of such a national importance. Right. So if that funding is taken care of, then the e-commissioner can do a good job, and at the end of the day will profit from that bill.
Mr. Marvel, we'll have to let you go. But before we let you go, from what we have, the information we have available to us, this bill actually suffered some setbacks in 2024 after it must have had its public hearing. You think it is something that the House of Representatives should push as hard as possible towards securing, and of course the Senate too? You think this bill should see the light of day?
I believe most people in the legislative arm of government, they are parents. So they're interested about the welfare of their children. So they will want to do everything to push through for the bill to come out successful. And I want to believe them that it was a step down for the tax reforms bill to be able to see the light of day. And having succeeded with that, and they take this up, every parent would be interested about this kind of regulation. The only concern would have been about the freedom of speech, that it would affect other people's, whatever other people. But when you look at it, cyber bullying is a crime. This bill is seeking to address online grooming that you cannot justify, it has no economic value, that you cannot but see it as a crime. So most of these aspects that will fall into this online child abuse bill is something that is criminal in all its form. So I see it as a very good bill that should see the light of day.
Organization Development Consultant Obong Marvel Essien, thank you very much for speaking to us on the program this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Marvel.
All right, so we've come full square on Niger Delta Today. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you again tomorrow for another fresh edition. My name is Xavier Robert. Good afternoon.
And I am Siphon Ode. Good afternoon.